Hello and welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Copenhagen. This is Ford with you as always, and with me is Rodolfo.
Hello.
What's up, man? You missed yesterday.
Yeah, we're recording this a day later because I wasn't feeling very well yesterday.
A little too much to drink.
It's actually not too much to drink. I didn't drink that much, but yeah, it was something related to that.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is I took some Phenibut, which apparently, well, I kind of knew this. I just forgot. But it really intensifies the effects of alcohol if you drink. And I'm not much of a drinker myself. And I had like, I don't know, 2 or 3 shots, so not really that much. But yeah, altogether, it didn't fall. It didn't leave me very well on Saturday,
No.
and I had to skip the podcast because nobody wants to listen to me just grumble. You are the official grumbler for it.
Yeah.
I am just something else.
Well, it's all right though. I mean, I was a little sad. 3 shots put you under the table, but
Well, it's okay. I mean,
it was the combination.
It's the combination. Come on,
Yeah.
I might be a bit of a lightweight, but
3 shots didn't give you a
it's
hangover.
not like extra blood. You can't just make a headline like that.
Yeah, I can, and I did.
But yeah, I'm not much of a drinker myself.
Yeah,
no.
you'll fail the Danish citizenship test if they give you 3 shots and you have a hangover. Then you just can't be a Dane. Sorry.
Yeah.
Dolph.
Do you think that they could do that? That's actually
That's
actually
That
interesting.
would be probably better than all those questions. Just give you see if you can take the test after like 6 classics beers.
Yeah, they just give you some
Or, like,
alcohol.
2 elephant beers and finish up the test.
Yeah, they give you a Fläskesteg sandwich, maybe see how you react to it. Some licorice,
Mm-hmm.
and just see how you handle that stuff.
Yeah. Looks like he failed the licorice test, but he was able to pass the drinking test with flying colors.
I definitely failed the licorice test.
I'm not a big fan
I think
of
it's the only thing. It's the only really thing that's common in Denmark that I really can't get used to. I mean, I like Hubhul, I like Flæskesteg, I like a lot of the things that are common here,
Danish
and
things.
they're not as common everywhere else. But licorice, I think you kind of need to grow up with it when you're a kid.
I feel the same way. I'm not a really big fan of licorice in general, and especially the licorice they have here. I mean, I guess I can see how some people would like it. I can't bring myself to really like it that much.
Do they eat it in the States?
Yeah, they have licorice, but it's not quite the same, and also it's not very popular even in the States, I think. You got to be a special kind of person to like licorice. You got to be like broken or damaged in some way.
It's
No,
it's a
I don't
Northern
know.
European thing, right?
Yeah, I
Or
don't know.
maybe Turkey.
It's
I
just
think
one
they
of
have
those
it in
tastes
Turkey
that's
as
like a
well.
very acquired taste and very specific taste.
I'm sure I could get used to it if I actually forced myself to.
Yeah.
But what's the point?
Yeah, I know that's true.
It's like, yeah, I probably could get used to eating shit as well if I just ate shit every day
You
for
think so?
a month or two. I don't know. But, well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually what happened with alcohol. I didn't drink alcohol until I came to Denmark. And then I kind of
Got peer pressured into
started-
drinking.
I don't think it was necessarily peer pressure. Maybe partially, but it wasn't. It wasn't just for that. But so I started drinking like just mixed drinks, vodka mixed with whatever and things like that. And that I didn't need to get used to it. I just kind of one day woke up and was like, okay, I actually like this. But beer, I needed to actually force myself to like it.
Yeah, and you still don't really drink beer very much.
No, because I realized that there's really no point in drinking something that you don't like
Yeah.
anymore. Maybe if I was 16, it would be different. But now, fuck that. No beer. Just some random shots, like
No
3
beer
of
for
them.
you,
The
few
little
shots,
rack
few
made
mixed
oh,
drinks.
jeez. It was a terrible Saturday.
Yeah, well, sorry to hear that.
It's okay for it. I'm here today. The weather is nice.
Yeah, it is nice. 25 degrees
24
out.
degrees. 24, 25.
Why you got to argue? It's 25. Come on.
I'll give you that.
We got a few news articles here this week. Yeah, it's a little bit of a slow news week. It's pretty
As
much
usual.
every week seems like a slow week, but I thought this one was cool. Copenhagen's drug injection rooms are a success story, the mayor says. Since the introduction of these fixing rooms in 2012, I guess they have saved a bunch of lives or prevented a bunch of people from dying. There's 2 of these fixing rooms opened by the municipality in 2012. They faced considerable opposition, and now 643 people have been treated for overdoses without a single fatality in that time. That's crazy.
I mean, that's really what the best outcome from it, right? I mean, if you build something to, well, they're not curing people or preventing them from
No,
taking drugs, because I
no.
guess that's harder and people need to actually want to do it.
Yeah, you
So
can't change somebody's mind. They have to change it for
yeah,
themselves, I think. I mean,
so
you can offer all the support and, like, the best,
mhm.
ability to put them in an environment where they could change their mind, but and I mean, I guess that could be changing your mind. Like, imagine you take some heroin or something and go to one of these injection rooms, and you shoot up, and you actually have an overdose and almost die, and somebody there has to save you. Like, don't you think that just like deep down, maybe you don't quit right away, but you're like, holy shit, that was close. Like, maybe I should rethink my life if I'm having to have somebody revive me. Like, I know I would. I mean, I've never really been in the grips of any kind of like opiate addiction. That was one thing that I was lucky enough not to have to deal with, especially considering that the opiate addiction and all the stuff like that is crazy in the US right now. I mean, there are so many people dying from like heroin laced with fentanyl and carfentanil. And yeah, I mean, they just get hooked from like actual painkillers from
Yeah,
doctors,
for
and
OxyContin
then they
stuff
can't
like
get
that.
them anymore because the rules are pretty tight after they initially give them. And then yeah, they go to the street and they get heroin because it's cheaper. And oftentimes those guys now are lacing the heroin with fentanyl and carfentanil because it's much cheaper for them to buy that stuff in bulk. And it only takes like, I don't know, like a granule of carfentanil to kill you, like on the level of maybe not micrograms or something, but it's not much at all. Like a few specks of dust is like enough carfentanil to kill you. So
Do you know if there's fentanyl here as well? Like
I have
if
no idea. Well, I mean, surely there's probably pharmaceutical fentanyl here, because that's in prescription. They put it in like lollipops or something because they're able to, I guess, dilute it enough and make sure that the person can't like consume it quick enough
yeah,
or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, they give you like a little lollipop of fentanyl for people that are in like ultra severe pain, like
yeah.
11 out of 10 on the scale, I
Not
guess.
not for Halloween.
No, not for like breaking your leg or something like that. I mean, this is for like somebody that has one of those weird nerve disorders, or I mean, there's some nerve disorders where painkillers don't even help you, and that's like the worst possible scenario. But for some people, they just have like super debilitating pain and they need these things. But yeah, so I would assume you can get it in a probably a pharmaceutical or hospital type setting.
Hmm.
I don't know because I don't really, I don't really care, so I don't really look for things like that. But um, I mean, pretty much all over the world, you can usually get some opiates, right? I mean, it seems to be a pretty common
Yeah, I just don't know
misused drug,
if
and
fentanyl is something that's
yeah,
as widespread throughout the
that I
world
don't
or
know.
not.
That
'Cause
I have no idea.
I hear, yeah, you just read a lot about it in the past year or so.
I mean, here, if you're in pain, the doctors can give you like pure morphine pills,
Hmm.
and they're not cut here with acetaminophen like they are in the U.S. Because like all the hydrocodone and codeine in the U.S., they basically cut it with Tylenol, assuming that if you overdose, like if you take enough to kill yourself, you'll die from like liver failure before you die from the respiratory failure or something like that.
Which is what it's better. Or?
Apparently, yeah. I don't know. I really don't get that
Yeah, it will
logic.
just kill you before you die.
Yeah,
You know, it's like
I don't get that logic, really. But yeah. Anyways, I feel like probably here you don't have quite the same level of opiate abuse that you do in the States, and I think part of that is to do with
yeah, but the prescription
yeah
method in the States is a bit fucked up.
yeah, well, because there's an incentive for the doctor to write the prescription because he gets paid. There's an incentive for the pharmacy to fill it because they get paid. It's all just money, the whole way.
Yeah.
Whereas here, like the hospitals and the healthcare system is trying to save money. And also, the doctors are not just going to be giving you drugs for the sake of giving you drugs, like only if they really feel like you need them, they'll write the prescription. So, in some cases, like I know when we've gotten sick a few times, like actually pretty like sick with like flu type symptoms or
Here.
like yeah, like sick for like 2 weeks kind of thing, hard to breathe, hard to sleep and all that, deep respiratory cough. Like in the US you would go and they would give you some like codeine syrup, like some stuff that would basically help you sleep and help you like stop coughing as much, and it was an opiate based thing. Um and they would give that to you. I mean, it's kind of expensive, and yeah, of course, it's an opiate based syrup, but it actually really works. Like, if you are having like respiratory, like heavy coughing and all that kind of stuff, it knocks the cough out and it basically makes you not care about the rest of being sick, because you're just like slightly kind of high on opiates, I guess, as well. Whereas here, they're like, yeah, looks like you're sick. You're going to have to tough it out. Why don't you drink some fucking water and try to get some sleep? And I'm like, well, that's the problem. I can't sleep very well. They're like, well, tough shit, It's like,
Yeah, but that's the thing. If
but
you then you miss work next day and you don't get fired anyway.
yeah, it's fair enough. I don't know. I would just say that it seems like the healthcare in the U.S. is more coddling and like throwing drugs at the problem, even if they're really not necessarily going to fix it. They might just make you more comfortable because there's money involved. Whereas here, they're just like, why don't you toughen up a bit? And if you don't really need it, just fucking drink some orange juice.
Yeah, it's this communist country for it.
No, it's not. I'm not saying it's about that. It's more.
I'm not
It
saying-
feels to me more like some Viking, like toughen up. Like you would have been dead 1,000 years ago, you pussy. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know if it's a toughen it up kind of thing or if it's just. You don't want to just prescribe strong shit like that for anything, and that's what it seems to me that happens in the US.
It is, and I think that's part of the reason we have that huge opiate problem there. And also here, they actually test you right in the doctor's office if they think it might be bacterial, because they won't prescribe antibiotics at all unless they have a positive result on whatever bacterial test, which is different in the US. If they think it might be bacterial, they'll prescribe antibiotics even if they don't know for sure and just say to take them, which is really bad for like antibiotic resistance.
But it's good for the economy.
It's great for their
capitalism,
pocket.
Yeah.
Late stage capitalism. But let's see, these 2 fixing rooms, they cost the municipality 32 million crowns per year to run. So that's what, like about $5-6 million a year for 2 of these injection rooms? I guess you got to have some nurses or doctors on there pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, I think there's nurses, or at least of the one on Eastigal. I passed through this one a lot as almost, every week because I work out close to it.
Is it the one in Vesterbro?
It's right Hamto. Yeah, it's right across from the police station.
Okay.
And yeah, there's always, they have nurses and stuff like that. I never actually went in there, but
yeah.
I think it's great. Like I'm not an economist, I don't know if 32 million krona is a lot or it's too little for what it gives, what it provides, and the lives it saves and stuff like that. But anything that saves, how many lives?
650, 643, yeah.
Can you really
put a price on those lives?
Exactly.
Even if you did, let's say you put some figure, like, I don't know, $1 million on a life, right? You can't really put a price on a life, but like, let's say $1 million. That's a decent amount of money. And certainly if somebody dies, there's all the burial costs, a bunch of administrative shit probably for the doctor to figure out, like the autopsy report, how they died. Police might need to look in to see if there was any reason. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just saying.
But you're like comparing prices now.
Well, but I'm just saying there's a lot of there's a lot of costs to the state and the government when somebody dies.
There is.
So what is that value? Like, what do they price a human life at? I don't know. As what those costs are. But let's say even it was like $1 million US per life. Saving 6 people from dying would have paid for the whole program if you consider it that high. Now, It probably is not that high. I would imagine it's actually more efficient. And so probably when somebody dies, it only costs like maybe 100,000. I don't know. I have no idea, but still, regardless of the financial aspects specifically, you can't really put a price on saving somebody's life.
I would actually like to know how many people like that have been using these facilities and have actually become clean afterwards. I know that's not their goal, or at least I presume it's not their goal to actually make people clean. It's just to prevent overdoses. Yeah. But there must be some people who have gotten clean after this.
But think about it. Like if you went in there and you're getting your fix and you overdose, and somebody basically brings you back to life with that Narcan or whatever, and it like completely eliminates, I guess, I don't know too much about it, but I feel like it pretty much like binds and makes it so that the drug is no longer working or something. So it takes you out of the high completely, as far as I know. And imagine you just wake up and this person's like, and you're like, what the fuck? I was getting high a minute ago. And they're like, yeah, we just saved your life. You were going to die. Like, you probably have some sort of thought like, okay, maybe I've gone a little too far, or maybe I should rethink my life choices, or I guess some people are like, fuck, you took my high away. Let me go score some more dope. But still, I think there's a significant number of people that probably and it's like a very vulnerable moment. Like some other person has like seen you about to die and saved you, and you probably feel some shame for the fact that like they had to do that, and probably also a lot of gratitude that somebody would have taken the time out of their fucking day to be there
I
to
think
save your
that's a very
life.
logical way of looking at it, which I'm not sure, like when it comes to addiction, that might necessarily happen.
I'm not saying that it's going to fix everything. I agree. It's a very logical way to look at it, I guess, and also that's not going to be the exact play by play for everybody. But I mean, I do think that there have probably been out of these 643 people that almost overdosed and died. I can imagine at least one of them like just stopped like after that.
I mean, we can certainly hope so. Like I said, I pass these places pretty much daily, and I see a lot of recurring faces.
Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, there's certainly faces that I've probably remember from the past that I don't see anymore as well. You know, it's not like I have a
yeah,
database,
sure.
but I'm a big fan of it. You know, and also you kind of first, or not first, but you also get syringes. So I guess you're not using like,
Used syringes,
yeah, basically stuff that might be ridden with
hepatitis,
diseases and
AIDS.
stuff like that. You also are not just throwing them out on the street after you use them.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I still see people cooking up shit on the street every once in a while, you know.
yeah,
But I definitely see a big congregation around these places,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's also a good point. I mean, you don't really think about that, but like all the used needles and shit when somebody's like done shooting up, if they're like out in outer space, I mean, they're just gonna be laying there on the street probably with a needle.
yeah, I remember. I can't remember which year this was, but I had some friends visiting. It was probably around 2010, 2011. Um, and I was just walking on Istigal with them. They were visiting from Portugal, and we're just walking from the central station up on Istigal. And when we're passing through Mariaskirche, the church,
Yeah.
we see someone, like some homeless woman, looking in the trash, you know, and we're just like, oh shit, she's probably looking for food or cans or whatever. And then you just see her like taking a handful of syringes from the trash and basically just going wherever with them, you know, and just like, oh shit, I mean,
Just take some used syringes and take
yeah, I
off
mean,
with them.
one thing is someone looking for food or cans, you know, and that's like, oh shit, that's sad. But
Yeah.
but actually looking for syringes and taking them, and you just know, okay, she either is going to use them or she's going to try to see if there's anything left there. That's a different kind of low, you know.
Yeah, that's a different bottom that you've sunk to.
And I think this was before these rooms, though. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
stuff like, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
'cause
sure
I'm
there's no need for
Because
stuff
my
like
guess is
this
you can probably
anymore.
go to these rooms and get just clean syringes
No,
too.
the syringes you can get for sure.
Yeah, like
That I know.
even if you don't shoot up there, like they probably allow you to take some syringes.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is also good for the society as well because you have less spread of like hepatitis, HIV, all that stuff.
yeah, I mean, there's still a bunch of how do you call it, like kind of like mailboxes, but just for people to put syringes in there, you know,
Yeah.
spread out around Vestopol. You still see them here and there,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they're not as used or necessary now as they were 5-10 years ago
Yeah.
because of these rooms.
I really think that a lot of places in the US could stand to learn from this. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are some cities in the US that have like some injection rooms and stuff like that. I mean, and I guess you get full amnesty, right? Or something like if you go in there with some dope and you shoot up, like there's no cops there waiting for you to arrest you or anything.
I'm sure. I'm sure not. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
police station right less than a block away from both of these rooms. You know.
And they're never there, like with anything, unless somebody's like fighting outside.
Yeah, only
or
if there's
something.
fights or stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think they're actually going through people and see if they have dope.
No.
But in terms of having something like this in the US, I think the biggest mindset that change that needs to happen is basically start treating this not as a crime,
But more
but
as like a disease.
Yeah, as illness, disease, whatever you want to call it. Because
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what addiction is.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, there's millions of people addicted to coffee and to cigarettes, you know, but since they're illegal,
And since they don't really cause, well, cigarettes do, but like since coffee itself doesn't really cause any negative social consequence or, like physical and health really. I mean, cigarettes do, but they're like a long-term thing. Like they'll kill you
And it's
slow.
yeah, and it's well, okay. I was gonna say it's mostly bad consequences for you, but no, the secondhand smoke is actually pretty bad
Yeah.
as well. I mean, it's just socially acceptable. That's
Right. It's
pretty
more
much the
socially
thing.
acceptable anyway.
And
Yeah, you can't just
but
you,
it's the same kind of addiction.
yeah, of course it's a chemical and also like a psychological addiction to that.
I mean, you get withdrawals from coffee. I've had
Yeah,
withdrawals
yeah,
from
you get
coffee.
withdrawals just from caffeine itself, absolutely, and cigarettes, no doubt about it. One of the hardest things to quit that there is. I mean, nicotine, I think, is one of the strongest addictions to break. But I think you're right. I mean, they need to look at this as more of a disease and not a crime, and that's the problem in a lot of these conservative and like Republican type states. This is an ugly issue. This is like an issue that nobody really wants to admit could be happening in their perfect little town. But the reality is that it does. And so you need to like man up and say, okay, well, this is going on. We can either just try to like, have the war on drugs and war on crime type of thing, which we've done for the past, 40, 50 years. And we see that that doesn't really work other than making an enormous amount of money for lawyers and the legal system and the Justice Department and the prisons and pretty much everybody involved in ruining your life. They make a lot of money, um, but it doesn't really seem to fix anything with regards to drug overdoses and drugs and stuff like that. So
And the decriminalization in Portugal of drugs seems to me to have been a big success so far.
yeah,
We had one of the worst heroin epidemics in the late 80s, early 90s. And I mean, I was very young back then, but I do remember being a lot of talk about it. And I think at some point there was like 1% of Portugal was addicted to heroin or something like that.
Okay, Jesus,
1%, it's
a
a lot
lot.
of fucking
Yeah.
people. It's like 10 million people. So 1% is what, 100,000?
Yeah,
That's a lot of fucking people. So that would be like 30 million people in the US,
yeah.
which maybe it's actually not unrealistic if you think about how many people are actually taking pills.
No, it would be 3 million, right? Because 1% of 350 million or whatever would be like 3.5 million.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, 10% would be
Math
30.
is
Yeah,
difficult.
it's all right.
Anyway, maybe it's actually not unrealistic to think that that amount of people are
Yeah,
addicted to pills.
I could
in the US.
probably argue that 3 to 3.5 million people are in some form of opiate addiction, whether it be heroin, pills, whatever. I mean, I think they had 50 or 60,000 people died last year from overdose.
Mhm. And nowadays, if I'm not mistaken, Portugal is actually one of the lowest countries, either in Europe or in the world, or with lowest amount of heroin overdoses. Or
Yeah, so it's fully like drugs are basically fully decriminalized there, as in you will get a fine, but there's no like arrest or actually
or no record. I don't think you.
Right.
Or maybe I mean I think they either make you go through some kind of
Program.
short program,
Yeah.
to try to dissuade you from doing this.
but you
in the
don't get
future.
10 years in jail.
No. You don't go
No.
to jail. Of course, there's a limit. You have to, if you have under a certain limit that kind of shows that you're not dealing.
That you're just a user.
Then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I remember also seeing just probably some TV documentary on YouTube where you have nurses just going around in these areas where it's known that people go there to shoot up, and they actually go there and they bring syringes and they ask if they're okay, and they basically tell them, if you need help, you can talk to us and we can help you and stuff like that. And they just do this daily, I think. So it's kind of a similar thing, except that you have people going to the areas instead of having a designated area where the people with the addiction are coming to.
Yeah. It says here a new way of reaching out. This tells me there's been a crying need for the fixing rooms, and it's been right to find a new way that many people living a chaotic existence on the street with little or no contact to the system. Like, I guess they're finding a new way to talk to people that are kind of in this shitty situation. In just a single year, we've concluded up to 2,500 advisory talks about health and social conditions with citizens living on the edge and often far from help. So there's no doubt we've improved their prospects. So I guess maybe they also
they're trying to
they're probably
get people
friendly
off of
enough
that.
when you come in there. I mean,
oh yeah, of course. I mean, if they're treating this as a disease, they're gonna be nice. It's not like you go to the hospital like, fuck, you hurt your foot again.
Yeah.
And
they probably have some like information pamphlets in there about like the long-term consequences and all that shit. Because I mean, I
Probably.
know.
I
Well,
mean,
I mean, I
I
know.
don't know if anyone takes heroin without knowing the consequences. To be
Well,
honest,
I
but
mean, a lot of people smoke cigarettes without knowing some of the consequences. Like
does
all,
anyone not know the
well,
consequences of
I mean,
smoking
pretty
it
much they just
nowadays?
they know the overall general consequence, right? Which is like it'll kill you or you'll get cancer. But then you see all those pictures where like people lose like their feet or like their toes or like the hole in the throat. I mean, I guess that's kind of a common one that people are aware of. But there's like like blindness, impotence. There's like so many things that it fucks you up that you don't really.
Blindness from
Yeah,
cigarettes?
absolutely.
Oh,
Fucks up your gums and your teeth like really badly. But I mean, you see those pictures on the packs, and what I'm getting at is
yeah.
like, even though you know, okay, yes, smoking is bad for me, smoking's going to give me cancer, smoking's going to kill me. There's actually a lot of other stages along the way that aren't necessarily directly cancer that will fuck up your life forever as well. That you don't really necessarily put two and two together. Like, okay, I'm smoking, and I'm going to lose probably all my teeth if I continue this or whatever. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know why I'm laughing. Yes.
But what I'm getting at is they probably have a bunch of informational pamphlets and shit in the fixing room itself. Where yeah, I mean, if you're just an addict and you want to shoot up, I mean, maybe you care, maybe you don't. But maybe out of the corner of your eye, you see somebody that no longer has any veins at all, or like their arm
Yeah.
is like completely vein collapsed, and you know there's some information about like okay, if you're running out of injection sites and you start using fucked up places, like you have potential to cause like gangrene or poor circulation and lose like your feet. Because I know a lot of people inject in there like in between their toes
hmm
because it's an area that is they can hide so that they don't have a bunch of track marks down their arm. So it's like they can be a functional heroin addict. They can go into their job every day and nobody really suspects anything. And so I think when they use up all these kind of injection sites and really wreck the vein. Like I don't know. Like
Yeah, I
I'm
understand.
speaking
I
on this
understand.
out of a perspective of I've read a bunch of stuff like on people on Reddit. It's actually pretty a popular topic on certain threads on Reddit, and I do enjoy like reading kind of the stories of people who got themselves out of the grip of it or like in a pretty dark place. And so I don't claim to be an expert on any of this, but and some of the stuff I might say might be like technically
Oh
incorrect.
no.
But what I'm getting at is I mean, yeah, there's probably things like this information and pamphlets and stuff in here that even if it just reaches one person and they decide, okay, like that's the final straw. Like I'm not going to be, I don't know. For some people, it might be, oh, if this is going to cause impotence, okay, I can't do it, or you know what I mean?
Since you touched on the functional addict topic, I I always assume that if someone is going to be a functional opiate or heroin addict, they're not going to be injecting. They're probably going to be smoking it because I mean, from what I understand,
Smoking it, or and you mean taking pills?
well, I
I
mean,
mean, you can smoke
you can
opium, I guess, but what I'm saying is, well, you would immediately go to smoking instead of injecting, instead of taking pills instead of injecting.
I don't
Because
know.
I mean, I guess it's different everywhere depending on what you can get and what's the socially accepted thing and all that. But I think in the U.S. for functioning addicts, probably the higher percentage of them in like middle class
hmm
suburbs and stuff is taking pills.
But that's not heroin pills, right?
Oh, is basically, I mean, heroin pills. I mean, it's an opiate. You know,
No,
like
okay. Let's say
so.
if you buy if you
What are the active ingredients when you talk about pharmaceutical? Morphine, hydrocodone, codeine, and OxyContin, fentanyl. These are all just like different, I guess, purified forms or slightly different forms of opiates. There is a pill, you know, there are pills that if you take them, basically have the same effect as if you inject heroin. Even though, I mean, injection itself, the delivery gets to your bloodstream faster, like instantaneous. So I guess it kind of hits you like a sack of bricks rather than taking a little bit of time. And it's always, I think, like 90% inefficient to take something orally because your stomach acid, you waste like an enormous percentage, right? So like I guess the most efficient is either direct injection or like a suppository like up your ass, you know? But what I'm saying is yes, it's different heroin versus pills, I guess the uptake rate, but to say that you can't get more fucked up or the same level of fucked
no no
up
no
on pills, like you
no,
know what I
but
mean?
that's not what what I was
Okay.
hinting at. Let's say if someone gets to the point where they're actually buying heroin because it's easier than getting a prescription for pills
And
or
it's
something
cheaper.
like that.
And it's
Yeah,
cheaper.
that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to inject it, right? They can smoke it.
I guess, but I mean
I'm pretty sure they can smoke it just like you smoke crack, right?
that
And
I don't know.
again, I don't have experience with
Yeah,
this.
that I don't know. That I'm not clear about. I don't. Yeah, I don't have enough experience. You know, I never even. I don't even
Okay.
think I
And
ever
anyway,
seen heroin in
I
my
always
life.
assumed for some reason that if someone is because heroin, as far as I know, as long as you have enough money to keep buying it, it's not you're not really gonna, let's say, it's not necessarily gonna ruin your life if you take it, like if you don't take too much, so if you don't overdose, and if you have money to just keep fueling the addiction.
Sure.
So in that sense, there's a lot of
Functioning
addicts, and yeah, I was just, like I was saying before, I just kind of assumed that functioning addicts are not injecting, but maybe they are. I don't know.
Yeah, you say that. I don't know. I think that's a hard thing to make. I mean, probably they're not injecting a giant mainline load right before they go into work. You know, like that might be what they do in their off time, or maybe they take some tiny, smaller amount like maintenance throughout the day, like when they're working, so that they at least are like semi-conscious. Maybe they take some pills instead during the day when they're working, and then or they just try to grin and bear it and go sober through the day until they're off. I don't really know. But I mean, it is a problem. You have a lot of people that are kind of functioning addicts as well.
It's probably the same with
Alcohol,
alcohol.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I just thought this was interesting and really cool. I mean, this is one of those programs one of those things that makes me like proud to live in Copenhagen. One of those things
Yeah,
I
I like
like about Copenhagen is it seems that they're more, maybe a little more forward thinking than a lot of other places in the world where they would be like, oh, we can't do this room. This is ridiculous. You're going to encourage people to shoot up. And you know what I mean? There'd be all these
Yeah.
arguments about how you're giving them a free pass to do this. It's like, look, dude, people are going to do this whether you want to or not. So you're either going to show up with an ambulance and haul their corpse away, or you're
Yeah,
going to
or
give them
just
a
let
room
them
to do it
die. Yeah.
and maybe be able to save their life. I don't know.
And I, like I've mentioned many times before, I pass through this every day, and
Would you say that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a consequence of these places or not, but I do not feel unsafe at all. I mean, I'm also a guy. Yeah, but
You're bulking.
yeah, I'm
You're
a
a big muscle
I'm
man.
very I'm a very I strike fear into other people's eyes.
You
No,
walk
I
down the
don't.
street with imaginary lat syndrome.
No,
It's
I
like you're
don't think I do.
carrying two invisible watermelons as you walk down the street.
I don't think I do,
No.
but maybe I just have a skewed
Maybe that's why
perspective
you
of
feel so
myself.
safe. Everybody's just scared of the guns.
I don't think that's the
Those
case,
biceps,
especially
you know?
not here, where basically the average male is taller than me as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
I-
were,
I-
were
I-
you
I
were
think-
you there in 2012 when these started, or no? You weren't living there.
I moved to Vesterbro in 2013, I
Okay.
think.
So right around the start of when these rooms,
Yeah, yeah.
these rooms had been.
Yeah, I
up.
always remembered them being there, I think. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I don't know if it's a consequence of the rooms or not. Maybe it's just that people are nicer here. I don't know. But I've never felt unsafe even walking through
Yeah.
these areas. You know, when in Portugal, I'd feel very different because I would always be afraid of, I don't know, being mugged, or like because people want money for drugs, you know, or just they want to steal something that I have so they can sell it for drugs. I don't feel that here. Whether it's a consequence of the rooms or not, I do not know. But I like them. I don't mind. I'm actually very happy that the money, you can see tax money being used for something that's actually useful and saves people's lives and
Yeah.
supposedly improves their life a tiny bit or a lot.
Yeah.
I guess not dying, it's a big improvement over dying.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I don't know what happens afterwards for it.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about this, like maybe some more statistics. I wonder if they offer additional statistics besides just kind of how many people they save from overdosing, like how much impact they think that it has on people actually quitting or seeking actual help long term and weaning off of drugs and stuff like that. Because I think obviously that's the long term goal, right?
I would assume so, yeah.
But
Just get people off of this.
But yeah, that's super cool. And I'm really happy about that. I mean, probably maybe they'll see more of them throughout the country, depending on where problems are. I mean, I don't know if they have them in like
I
Aarhus
think
and
they might
Jylland.
have. I think they might have at least one somewhere else, maybe in Aarhus or
Yeah.
some other big city. Like I don't know, Aarhus or Odense, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So should we talk about this one, Dolph?
What is that?
Denmark among the most expensive EU nations for permanent residency. This is
It doesn't come free to live here, you know.
No. Non-EU citizens applying for permit face high fees.
And that affects you.
It does. This affects me for sure whenever I go to. I mean, I haven't applied for it yet, but at some point I'll apply. after I think 4 or 5 years I've been here, which is another 1 or 2 years away, depending. Um, yeah, I'll apply for a permanent residence permit. Second highest fee in the EU, 5,760 Danish crowns
Just for applying.
just to apply. That doesn't even mean you
I
make
mean,
it.
to be fair, like I mentioned,
It's like 780 euros. I mean, it's pretty expensive to fill out some paperwork.
yeah, but you're also in one of the most expensive
Countries in the world.
countries, or at least cities in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it at least makes sense that the most expensive places are going to have the highest fees for stuff.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, right?
I guess so. I mean, I guess so. I mean, Sweden, for instance, it costs 100 euros, so it's 7 times
Yeah, but
cheaper. And it's
Sweden likes to be to be like like the kid in school that's always in the first row, and every time the teacher asks something, he raises his hand
Okay.
immediately.
But I mean, think about it. Netherlands, this is 159 euros. Germany, 135 euros. I mean, those are nice countries that are relatively expensive to live in. Great quality of life. Not, certainly not shitty.
Yeah, but do they have
I mean,
DF as the
Norway.
strongest?
Speaking
one
of
the
most
strongest
expensive,
parties?
Norway, 222 euros versus 780 for Denmark. I mean, Norway is by far more expensive than Denmark.
I don't know if it's by far, but yeah, it should be.
It is by far more expensive.
But like I was saying, do they have a strong anti-immigration party as a coalition?
I'm not saying they do or they don't.
Probably not.
I think it's ridiculous to pay almost 1,000 euros to fill out a sheet of paper. Like, you know what I mean? Because yes, there are administrative and back end costs of people, checking up to make sure that your application is accurate and whatever. But I mean, seriously, can it cost 1,000 euros? Whatever. I mean, again, it's not really a huge problem for me. Of course, I would rather not pay that fucking much when I do it, and hopefully, I only have to apply once and I get it, and then I have permanent residence, and it doesn't matter anymore. But
it's the price for not paying
it's a bit of slap.
U.S. taxes anymore for it.
Well, that's not true because I'll still have to pay U.S. taxes.
Oh, it's for the.
This isn't for.
It's just for residents.
This isn't for a passport. This is just for permanent residence.
Take that.
I'm glad you're finding that hilarious.
No, I know.
You fucking cunt.
I think maybe part of it is since I'm not really affected by this because I'm a EU citizen. Maybe my brain just blocks the price and just kind of gives rationalizes that you have to pay if you want to live in a country like this.
But you don't use injection rooms, and you weren't saying, why don't you just fucking die? Like, you know what I mean?
No, exactly. So
I mean, for me,
I was
enjoy
okay with
that.
spending the tax money, so I guess I'm okay with this being expensive as well.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, it's pretty fucking high.
Does it really bother you that much?
No, but
I mean it's something that you're gonna do hopefully once.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad to even have the option to do it. But when you see all these other countries on the list have like ridiculously cheaper prices, it makes you think. And like a lot of these places are nice to live. To be fair, some of them are maybe not as nice. Like, I don't know.
Name one.
Bulgaria, Romania, something like that. I
just
mean,
annihilated all our Bulgarian listeners.
We don't have any Bulgarian listeners. But
we have one from Myanmar.
What I'm getting at, I mean, Portugal is 90 euros. Look how cheap that is. I mean, it's a shitty country too.
It's not a shitty country, but it's a cheap country.
Got to get one little jab in there.
That's fine.
Spain is even cheaper than you guys. So
yeah, because it's a crappier country.
I don't know.
Maybe there you go. Now come on, you can't change your argument.
Maybe they're outdoing you.
You can't change your.
You
argument.
said that Sweden wants to be like first in the line, and that's why they're cheaper because they're better.
Yeah, I was just talking out of my ass for it. Just felt that it just feels like Sweden just kind of wants to be like the the best country for everything. Which I think it's great, by the way.
Like the teacher's pet. Like the student that always brings an apple to the teacher and like
it's like we'll take more refugees. We'll make all these things.
We'll do everything
cheaper.
better than you. Whatever. More power to them.
5,000 krona for it. That's the price for freedom, like for real freedom.
The price for freedom.
Not the American freedom.
Freedom doesn't come free. I guess I'm gonna have to pay that twice too, because my girlfriend's gonna have to get one too. Well, that stings. 2,000 euros.
I feel for you for it. I feel for you.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I wonder how much the U.S. is. How much is it to get a green card?
Just Google it. But I'm sure you're gonna spend a fair amount of money for all
application
the
fee is $420. So about half as much.
And that's all you need to do.
Well, the first application, let's see, For an I-130 is 420. The fee for an I-29F is 340. The fee for an I-40. Holy shit! So I guess there's different.
Yeah,
Okay, so family-based cases is one. Fiance case is another. Employment-based is a different one. So the prices differ depending on what you're coming for.
and then there's subsequent fees. It says down there.
Uh-huh. Primary form for adjusting status. Fees like $1,100. Holy shit, man.
Yeah. See, I mean,
Well, freedom doesn't come free. I guess
and then
that was your
and,
argument, right?
and that money doesn't go for fixed rooms to save people's lives.
Well, I don't think the other
It
one
goes
goes for
for-
fixing rooms either. It probably just goes straight to whatever the.
It's government. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all government money.
All right.
Just
Well,
about how they use them.
so there you go. If you want to inject some drugs, you can do it at the fixie rooms at Halmtol in
Don't do
Vesterbro.
it. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
It's my
but
recommendation.
if you
I read on the internet it's not healthy.
if you absolutely have to, and you don't want to overdose and die, then there's some people that can help you.
Just listen to this podcast. It will give you a much better high.
Yeah, gives
One
you
can
more hope.
certainly hope.
All right. So there we go. What about this thing? We just found this today. A large search. An escaped motorist crashed a stolen police car.
I think that's awesome.
So during a police check, these police in Jylland, I believe, stopped a guy. They thought it was a suspicion of drunk driving.
He was drunk, right?
Yeah, he was drunk. 47-year-old guy. And so they stopped him. They pushed his car out of the road, like out of the way a little bit to prevent him from getting hit by, I guess, to reduce like the traffic hazard of his car on the side of the road. So while they were pushing his car out of the way, he jumped in their police car and drove off. And it looks like he apparently also crashed that police car at some point later because there's a picture here of it all fucked up. And they're still searching for the guy. So, yeah, apparently he didn't reach far down the road. He drove head on into another car and fled from the spot. I'm laughing. I mean, it's fucked up. People shouldn't do it, but
it is, but
still, this is Jylland things.
I think it's funny. I mean, how drunk do you have to be to actually attempt
Steal
to
a
steal
police
a police car?
Yeah. Apparently,
And
pretty
seriously,
drunk.
I mean,
you're
how
gonna
many
get
people
caught.
have thought about driving a police car? I would love to try driving a police car just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I would never do it illegally because I don't think I would ever even get drunk enough to attempt such a feat. But it must be cool to drive a police
I think
car.
everybody wants to just turn on the sirens and the lights one time and hit the buzzer, like the
Yeah.
thing. I mean, I think in the US sometimes they have things where it's like community outreach with the police where they're like the police let you, like, I don't know, I don't know if drive the car, but like for instance, get in the car and check out all the stuff and turn the sirens and lights on. And usually these are things like an incentive to get people to want to sign up to be a police officer,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyways.
I don't know if it makes sense to allow people to do that. I mean, of course, there's
No.
always
Well,
a
I mean,
certain
it's-
risk.
Yeah, but it's just a planned thing. I mean, I think that they have like a kill switch and all that. Like the people aren't going to be able to actually drive away. And if they do, they probably just kill them,
Oh, for sure.
That's the US way.
There was this guy he had a YouTube channel where I think every day he just basically asked people for a specific thing. So every day he had a goal of just making a weird or funny or whatever request. And he ended up making a TED talk at some point. So it shouldn't be too difficult to find. But one of the requests was actually one day he just went to and he filmed all of this for his YouTube channel. And one day he actually went to he saw I guess a couple of police officers with a parked car. And he just went to them and he gave a small spiel about, I've always, or my grandfather was a policeman or whatever. And I don't know exactly what he said.
Sure.
But basically was asking them, can I just sit in the car and take a picture? So not to drive,
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm at least the first thing that comes to my mind is, of course, nobody's going to let you do this. What the fuck? What if you're some crazy guy or whatever?
Yeah.
But they actually did. And he got his picture taken, and amidst all these stories of police brutality and all these bad cops and stuff like that, I thought it was a very nice
gesture.
Counter story to.
There are, I mean, certainly there are probably, there's
most cops are
plenty
good people,
of like
sure.
good people that are cops. It's just there are also a lot of bad apples. unfortunately. And the system, I think also the system is really a little bit against like good people stepping up and saying something because you get punished so heavily by people who like don't want you to. There's this whole concept of like a thin blue line, which is like that the police should always look out for each other and back each other up, even if they've done something wrong, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so I think that that whole culture is a bit fucked up, at least in the US. So, but anyways, yeah, this guy's still on the loose. They were searching for him with dogs and helicopters.
He's still.
I mean,
When was this?
to be fair, did they have his car, right? Like he left his car.
Yeah.
So they probably know who he is as long as the car was in his name and not somebody else's. I would imagine they maybe have video recording from the police car. I mean, even though the police car's crashed, surely the video recording
When
still
when when,
worked.
when did this happen?
The date of this article is June 18th,
That's today.
today.
So that was at 1.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Oh, okay.
1
So it was
o'clock.
a couple of hours
Yeah,
ago.
just a couple of hours ago. Still wanted by the police.
Oh, okay. So,
So South Jutland.
South Jutland. Maybe he ran away to Germany.
Yeah, who knows?
Get some beer there. It's cheaper.
Yeah, that's right. You don't get any pant though.
Yeah, but just the money you save from it. I'm sure
Makes up for it.
a lot of people who live close to the border, they just buy alcohol in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cheaper. I mean, there's actually companies. Isn't there some beer that they produce here? They send it to Germany. It's sold in Germany, and then people import it back here, and it's still cheaper than buying it here.
I don't know. But
I'm pretty sure there's
it-
a bunch of like Carlsberg and Tuborg that you can get without pant, like across the border, and people do. Like apparently, it's still a price difference enough to make it worth doing, which seems so stupid. Like think about all the resources that we waste to can stuff here, ship it to Germany, and then ship it right back.
But the same thing happens with the food industry, you know? Like
Yeah,
there's
of course.
fruit that is picked up somewhere and then taken somewhere else for, I don't know, to do stuff to it, and then it comes back to the country of origin.
Yeah,
And it's just flying all over the world, and because it's still, I guess, even with all these expenses, it's still affordable enough that people will still buy it.
yeah,
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
And yeah, it's just basically more CO2 released because all the flying around and all the boats and ships and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. It seems pretty stupid in some ways, but yeah, I guess it is what it is.
I
But,
think it's mostly an economy thing, you know. Like it's just cheaper for whoever does this to the companies who sell the fruit or the fruit. I think fruit is one of the things that this happens with. But it's just cheaper for them to do, and since there's no regulations or taxes or anything like that to make it less viable, they just keep doing it. And yeah, and then we can get some red-looking apples from Bolivia
that sounds
over
good to me.
here
I like
that
apples.
just traveled more throughout last year through the world than you have for it.
Well, that's fine with me. I get my travel by eating an apple. Yeah.
Man of the world.
Yeah, I'm a man of the
I
world.
eat
I like
apples
to
from
eat all
Bolivia
sorts of
and-
different apples from
and
all over the
sushi
world.
From fish from Japan.
Yeah. Speaking of Japan, well, we had a friend of ours went to Japan just recently, and he thought it was pretty cool.
That is true. He brought me some, well, not just to me, but it brought me some wasabi Kit Kat,
Yeah.
which was, I like trying the weird flavors and things like that, and I like wasabi in the first place, but it's not something that you usually associate with chocolate, right?
Or
I mean,
candy bar.
or yeah, or with the candy bar.
I hate wasabi.
You do?
Yeah, I find the taste of horseradish fairly repulsive.
Oh, I love it.
That's one of those acquired tastes. Like I guess some people, yeah, some people can like that, and like for the way you feel about licorice, how you'll
Yeah.
never really like it. I'll never like horseradish. I think
The thing is, I didn't grow up with it, and I liked it from the beginning. You know, when I tried it.
I
first.
never. I always hated it from the very beginning. That I don't know. It just tastes like something wrong with it.
But so it's the flavor. It's not the fact that it's spicy. Or
no, it's the
anything
flavor
like that.
profile itself. It just I don't know. My brain's like that tastes like poison or something. It's like something's wrong with that. I shouldn't eat that.
That's interesting. Well, I feel sorry for it. So you didn't try the wasabi Kit Kat?
No, I haven't tried the wasabi Kit Kat, and it
Because it
doesn't
was very
sound.
mild.
That's what he.
It was very mild.
That's what he said, is that it was actually pretty mild. He was expecting it to be really in your face because wasabi is pretty in your
Yeah.
face. Um, so I mean, I guess if it was mild, it would be less terrible, but I still feel
I
like I
think
wouldn't
I
like it.
think you maybe could tolerate it because I mean I was disappointed that
It
it's
wasn't
like,
stronger,
yeah, this is just, I don't even know if I could tell this is
like
wasabi
a
if I
hint
didn't
of
know
wasabi.
beforehand, you know?
Yeah.
Another interesting thing, our friend, he bought some fancy chopsticks. So he bought 4 pairs of chopsticks and he paid like 40 euros each or something like that per chopsticks, or was it more? I don't know. He paid an insane amount of money for
So he
for
paid like he
chopsticks.
basically paid like 160 euros worth of chopsticks
Something
for
like
like
that,
4
yeah.
pairs.
But I mean, he spent like 1.5 hours just looking at the perfect chopsticks for him. Like they were measuring his hand, and then he was trying different kinds of wood to feel like which ones you like to feel like. If you want a lighter wood, you want a harder wood, but like the length was specially measured or especially
Yeah,
chosen
for like the
according to his
fulcrum and like
hands,
exactly where the
hand
lever
size
action.
and everything.
Hey, that's
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
that was pretty cool, you know. I could have some, but then like, do you go to Sticks and Sushi and you bring that with you or what?
No, you
Is
just
that
use
weird?
you just use them at home. Come on, man.
You don't think? I mean, if I was,
Look, I mean, I'm pretty good with chopsticks. If I had my own pair, they would be at home. Like I would keep them at home, and yeah, I would use them for dishes that I felt were good. Like some dishes are really good for chopsticks. I mean, especially sushi. Some rice dishes can be okay with it. Like vegetables, it's quite good for. But then there's some stuff where I'm like, why would I ever use chopsticks for this? You
do you
know?
think there's any dish that's actually improved by eating with chopsticks? Like, do you think there's anything that just the tool that you use for it would actually make it
I mean,
better?
for me, I prefer. Well, you get a metallic taste with like a metal instrument, like a knife or a fork or whatever, right? So, is the food itself better with a different utensil? Maybe not, but if I have the option, like if something's good to eat with chopsticks, I don't know if you know about like these big soup spoons that the Japanese use. It's like almost like a ladle kind of. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I've eaten
Let me see
soup
if I.
in like Chinese restaurants, so I guess
What is this thing?
that's
Here.
what you mean.
This right
Yeah,
here.
I know.
Yeah, this
I know.
thing.
Yeah, it's this
So,
the spoons that
but
they
like,
give you.
but this like kind of ceramic or plastic material it's made of. You know how like when you drink something out of a can, it has a different taste profile because it's been in metal.
Mhm.
Or if you put a metal spoon in your mouth and then drink the soup off of it or something,
Mhm.
it has a different taste. Even if the stuff itself doesn't have a different taste, the fact that the metal is in your mouth, like it gets almost like a brain game. You know what I mean? Like if they make this cup, right? I was actually watching a YouTube video. It's some, I don't know, one of those seen on TV products where they make a cup. And the
Yeah.
whole idea of this cup is that the rim of the cup smells and tastes like something, like for instance, orange or cherry or strawberry or whatever.
Hmm.
And you fill the cup with water, just plain water, and you drink out of it. And because the rim smells and tastes like something, you feel like you're drinking a flavored drink, even though you're not. And it's apparently made for people to try to cut down on like sodas and sweet drinks and shit like that. So it's like a brain trick, you know?
Yeah.
If you smell a certain smell while you're drinking something, then I don't know, you have the feel that it tastes different. And I think it's the same way with that when you have like a metallic instrument, like a spoon or a fork. I don't like metal, the taste of metal. And so if I'm eating something,
It's fair enough.
it is I want to come
It's
across
fair
like
enough.
I'm not being the most anal, grumbling complainer in the fucking world here. I mean, I can eat something with a spoon or a fork. It's not that big of a deal. But if I have a choice, I would rather eat something with like a ceramic utensil or like a plastic utensil that doesn't really seem to color the flavor or the experience, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And also sometimes with the metallic, I mean, you got to be kind of a clumsy klutz to do this, but sometimes you like pop yourself in the tooth with the spoon, you know,
or you bite it. Oh,
you,
sometimes
you bite
the
it or
fork.
something. I mean, I don't really do that very often, but if you accidentally do it, it's like it's not very pleasant when it's a metallic eating instrument. So in that sense, I understand why they use like wood and ceramic and different materials for eating utensils because I think it gives you a better experience.
Probably tradition as well.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I think it's a better experience.
I mean, now that you mention it, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get rid of all my metal forks and
Well,
knives
I'm
for
not
it.
going to go to that length. And also, I think the quality of the metal makes a difference, right? Like when your grandmother has those really nice, like sterling silver um, knives and different, stuff like that. It's like a different quality, than when you just have some cheap, like €1
IKEA
dollar
knives. Yeah.
store fucking forks and knives. You don't know what's in that metal. Some radioactive shit that they made in China.
I
Anyways,
mean,
I
you've convinced me for it. You've convinced me.
well,
I'm now. I'm at least I'm gonna pay more attention to it. It's
yeah.
interesting. I
Well, I
haven't
mean,
thought about it like
a
that.
lot of people don't think about it because it's like, okay, whatever. It's a fork, it's a knife. Like
Yeah, it's just a
buy the
yeah.
cheapest shit you can get, it, and as long as it works, it's fine. But then again, that is probably one of the things that you're going to touch and interact with more food than anything else. Like it's at least equally as or if not more important than the plate or the bowl that you eat it out of. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't really have any high dollar utensils or anything like that, but I mean, I do. If the food is right to eat with chopsticks, I would rather eat it with chopsticks. Partially because it's just maybe more comfortable, the experience itself, and then second because yeah, you don't have a bunch of metal in your mouth.
You got a point.
There you go.
You've certainly made me think about it, Ford. From now on, I'm gonna pay more attention to my utensils.
Hey, do you eat a lot of soup?
No, not a lot. No.
Okay. But if you do,
Why? Oh,
I
because
mean,
to get one of
well,
those
well,
spoons.
yeah, these Japanese like ladle spoons are so good for eating soup because they're I guess drinking, eating, whatever. But it has a lot of surface area. You can pick up like a really big spoon at one time. You can kind of sip it easily. You can also cool it off, like blowing off like a high surface area on the top. So if the soup is really hot, I don't know. I like these Japanese soup spoons. I don't
Yeah, I mean,
know.
I've used them when I went to
I
restaurants,
don't know
and
what the
I do
official
like
name
them.
is.
But I never really paid much attention or thought in order like to okay, I should have one of those at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most of the times that I eat soup is actually when I'm in some Asian restaurant
Mm-hmm.
or when I order some Asian takeaway and I order some food, some soup.
Yeah. Not too bad. Not too bad. So what else we got? So this guy ran from the police. City trains are to be driverless by 2030 in Copenhagen.
So the S trains.
The
Yeah.
cat's out of the bag on the driverless S trains. Yes. It's up to the transport minister, or if it's up to the transport minister, Ole Birk Olesen, the Copenhagen S trains will be driverless by 2030. In a report that he sent to Parliament, it's argued that a switch to unmanned trains will lead to more affordable and punctual trains, as well as an increase in frequency.
More punctual. So is that because the driver is the responsible one for late trains or what? That seems a bit
Well,
weird.
yeah, partially. I mean, it's the same reason that buses don't run on time perfectly, and then you have
Yeah, but the metro sometimes is late as well, right? And it's driverless.
yeah, the metro is pretty rarely not on time.
Well,
And
but the thing is, the metro
yeah,
comes
yeah.
every 2 to 4
But
minutes.
think
So
about
even
it.
if it's late, you don't notice it as much.
Think about it. Here's two reasons for the metro being late. If there's track work, in which case it's probably not going to come at all. If it is, it's going to be a really different schedule.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is when somebody gets stuck, a door stuck. And that happens pretty often. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not super often, but, people are rushing to try to get in the train. The doors are closing. They jam through them anyway. It opens up. Sometimes they don't close on their own automatically. And I think that's a safety thing. Like, they don't want to just crush somebody to
Of course
death in
not.
the door.
Of course not.
So then one of the metro staff has to walk over there and manually cause the door to close. So in a way, it really isn't the train's fault either. But this happens on the buses too, when people stop and then right before the bus starts going again, somebody runs up and let me on the bus, or whatever. So, and I think the trains as well, you also have this. I mean, if you're the train driver and you see somebody like running up the stairs and it's going to take you what, 5 or 10 seconds to just wait for them to get on the train.
Sometimes they don't wait.
Yeah, no, sometimes they don't. I mean, sometimes he's like, all right, fuck it, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's been times when they've waited like a few seconds for me. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and that shit adds up throughout the day. You wait for one guy, 5-10 seconds, you're already 5-10 seconds behind. You do it again and again and again, and then suddenly you're already 1 minute behind schedule, and that affects every other stop from there on. So it's just like a ripple effect. Whereas at least with the automated stuff, I mean, the only way that ripple effect starts happening is if, for instance, there's maintenance or like the door problems, like the doors aren't closing. But I still think the metro is far more reliable as being on time and always
But it's
running.
also more often. It comes more
Well,
often.
it is, but I mean, it's very often that Estos are well, Esto I think is a little better than the regional trains. The regional trains are shit as far as being
How often do you take the regional trains?
not anymore because I just got sick of the weird delays. Like there's one that's supposed to run here every 20 minutes from Uestal to Central Station.
Hmm.
Um and I mean there's times it's very often that it's 7 minutes late. Uh, it's pretty often that if it's going to be that late, they just cancel that train and wait for the next one. So it could be 35 minutes till you get another
So
train.
when they cancel the train,
It just says it on the app. It's like, yeah, this train's canceled, and it just drives right by. It's trying to
okay.
make up the time in the schedule, like for how delayed it is, and they're like, well, fuck it, this station's not that
So
important.
Erstel is the final stop.
No, this particular train, there's trains that go from. I mean, I think the trains go all the way to.
The airport.
Well, of course, they go all the way to the airport, and they go further depending
So they
on
go to
which.
Sweden.
So they go to Sweden, and then there's also ones that go up towards from this station towards Nivo, and I think there's even ones that go towards like Helsingør.
Okay, yeah, but that's in the opposite direction.
But yeah, I mean,
I meant in
basically,
this
from
direction.
here you're going to Central Station, which is the first stop from here, and then if you go towards the airport, it stops first at Tornby, and then the airport, and then it goes on to Sweden.
Okay, but that's when you say regional train, are you talking about the Öresundståg?
Yes.
Okay.
Or just the
Okay,
regular
I
regional
was,
train.
I was thinking about the other, like
No,
the
no, I'm talking about
gray
the
older. But
yeah,
that's the one I take every time
the
I
real
come
train,
here.
the real gray train.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one I take
that's-
every time I come here.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a regional train.
I think it's a good train. I like it.
I
Gets me here on time.
I like the design.
I mean,
of it.
I don't need to take it every day. Like
What I'm saying
you
is
might. So
what I'm saying is they're very often delayed. More so than the metro and the Esto for
yeah,
sure.
it might be. I don't pay much attention to it because I just go to the central station and just wait until it comes. Since I'm not really paying attention to when it should be. Maybe I've actually taken a delayed train more often than not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but that's not the S train. So that will that will still have a driver.
A driver, yeah.
They just want to make this more like the metro.
Yeah, I guess so. It says
Which I guess it's fine. I guess. I mean,
so they're going to pilot it on the F line, which is between Hellerup and New Elbjerg.
the F, that's the yellow line, right? That's
Yeah,
the
that's-
one that's
yeah,
it's
that's-
actually not.
I take
doesn't
that
go
one.
through the central station.
We take that one twice a week or four
It's like
times a week.
Flintholm and Norpo.
Yep, Flintholm to Norbro. That's or we take
And
Norbro to Flintholm and vice versa, going to and from Danish classes.
Yeah. Yeah, I never go on that line anymore. I used to because I used to live close to Fulbagen.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I don't take that anymore, or I haven't taken it a long time.
So the project is expected to be completed between 2022 and 2030, including an initial pilot phase on the F line that we just talked about. And they're just saying driverless technology on the S trains will enable significantly more trains than today without costing society more money. It's even possible to let the trains drive 24 hours a day, as we already are familiar with the metro.
That's nice.
And that is, yeah,
That is very
that's really nice. Because, I mean, you're like wrecked, completely wasted, 4 a.m. in the morning, need to get home Saturday night. The metro, I mean, it might run a little less often than it normally does, like every 20 minutes instead of every 3 minutes. But you can still take the metro home. Whereas I guess the Esto doesn't necessarily run 24 hours.
No, I think there's a period of time that they're not
them.
running. Yeah.
Do some maintenance probably too. Let's see. According to the report, a change to driverless trains would only require smaller investments if the transition was to take place in connection with the purchasing of new trains, which is the plan anyway. So I guess as they replace the old trains, then they'll get the new ones in.
And so it's a bad time for train drivers, huh?
I guess so.
Replaced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many jobs going to be automated out of existence in the next 30 years, probably. I mean,
yeah, with the self-driving cars.
I mean, look at it: self-driving cars, self-driving trains, probably all the lorries and like big freight trucks.
Lorries, I love it.
Well, whatever. You call it something else here in Danish too. I forget what it is.
But
But
it's just lorries is a British English
18-wheelers. I mean, I don't know. I'm in Europe. Should I say 18-wheeler?
No, you can say whatever you want for it. I just
Right.
I like it. It's like
Don't give me a hard
you're like,
time.
I'm not giving you a hard
You're
time.
busting my
It's like,
balls about this.
no, it's like you're fully integrated European man
So
right
where's my
now.
permanent residence? Come on.
Oh, you have to pay 5,000 krona for it.
Yeah, no shit, man. It's
And you have to-
5,700.
and you have to pass a test. No, that's for the citizenship. For residence, you don't need to pass any test.
I
or
think you
anything like
need
that?
at least a certain level of language, but it's not the PD3. I think you need the PD2
Okay.
level, which is I think I could pass that
And
one.
you need to eat like 2 kilos of licorice and not throw up or something like
No,
that.
I don't think so. All right. I was gonna say though, I like the S-Tows quite a bit. I think it's one of my favorite types of train here in Denmark because it's really wide and the seats are really comfortable.
Mhm.
The only thing I don't like about it, they recently replaced. You know how they have the doors that you get on the train and then you're in like a little sectioned off space, and then there's doors to each side, the glass doors that open to let you into like the
Yeah.
seating area.
Yeah.
And you know how annoying those fucking doors on the inside are? Like they don't seem
Sometimes
to
they don't open
they don't
immediately.
react to the fact that you're there and you're like, come on. Well, they put some new motion sensors up there on the train on the F line that we were on the other day.
Mhm.
And it's even worse. Like it's like so bad at sensing it now that you used to be able to like kind of wave your hand in front of the door and it would open. Now you have to like reach up to the sensor and wave it up on top of the ceiling.
So you have to
almost.
stretch yourself out to the top.
I mean, it's just and I don't even. I mean, I guess they put those things there to keep the main seating cabin warm when it's cold outside, so that people entering and exiting the train doesn't make everybody cold. Which I guess I appreciate.
Yeah,
I just wish the little sensors were a little more. I don't know, a little better. It seems like they're not very good.
I think they should at least have some clearly visible mechanical way
Like a
of
button
opening.
to open it.
Maybe not a button, but a handle or something like really just mechanical. You know, something you can just with
I don't
turning or a bit of strength or whatever, you just open it.
I don't
instead of-
understand why they don't have a button. Like
well,
why
they have the motion sensor, isn't it similar?
um,
It's a button that you don't push. You just wave in front of the button.
yeah, but motion sensors are so like with a button, you know you pushed it. With a motion sensor, you don't know when it
I know, but
trips.
if you want
As
to
a
go
th-
like that, I mean, if there's an issue with the electrical circuit or something,
get
then you
it.
still need a mechanical handle to
All
open
right.
it. That's why I was suggesting something mechanical like
So
a
rip
handle.
through there like the Hulk's t-shirt, you know.
Yeah, if you want to show off, I guess.
That's you.
No,
You're-
I mean, it's just-
you're bulking.
Jeez, it's just it's just a way. Like if something if there's an
something
issue,
goes wrong.
yeah, if there's an issue, you
An
always
emergency.
always have a way of opening without like breaking the door.
Yeah,
You know?
and maybe they do. I don't know. But I like the S trains. They're really wide. The seating benches are very comfortable. They're nice and warm in the winter. And also the separated bike. They have like I guess you could take your bike for free on those, and they have the separate bike carriage, which is way better.
Is it for free?
Yeah.
Because you have to pay for it in the metro.
No,
for
you don't. You can
not
take
in the
your-
train?
Yeah, you take your bike for free on the Esto.
Always, even
Always.
on during rush hour.
Yeah, pretty sure. Always on the Esto.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have to pay for it on the metro and on the regional train, and you can't take it on the regional train and the metro at certain times. But I think the Esto you can pretty much take it all the time,
Okay.
at least as far as I know. And yeah, I think it's no extra charge on the.
I'm
the Esto.
actually not sure because I don't take my bike on the
Yeah,
on the
I
train
used to
at
take
all.
my bike on the metro and the regional train quite a bit, like especially on days where, like, I wanted to have the bike for something after work or whatever, but I didn't necessarily want to ride all the way to work and be sweaty or maybe the weather was pretty shitty. You know what I mean? So like I have to ride 7 or 8K from my door to work. And I mean, it's not an unreasonable ride. It's easily doable. But if it's pissing rain or it's windy as fuck, or if you don't want, you're going to get sweaty even if the weather's nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think at 5K, you could ride like 5K without sweating at all. But even if you're taking it easy, after 5K, you're going to have like some sweat, you know? And I just don't want to show up at work smelling like sweat and then let it dry and smell like sweaty all day.
I appreciate that for it. It's very thoughtful of you.
So I used to take the train or take my bike on the train quite a bit on the regional and the metro. And the regional sucks because when it's busy, everybody sits in those on the cars that are for people that have luggage or bikes or child carriages.
Mhm.
But everybody just sits there even if they don't have anything. So they take up the only area you can put your bike. So every time you bring a bike on one of those fucking regional trains, it's just a giant hassle. You got to fucking maneuver through people and be like, excuse me, can I put my fucking bike here? Because that's what this whole car is for. And you're just sitting here like a jerk off. Don't have anything. Like, go sit in one of the regular fucking cars.
Do you
Of
ask
course,
them like
of course I'm not going to say it like that. But deep down, that's what I'm thinking. Day after day after day, when you've been taking the train like 30 fucking times and every single day you just know in the back of your mind, oh yeah, let me guess, about 500 idiots in this fucking train in this particular car meant for people that have luggage, bikes, or fucking child carriages. Let me guess who's sitting in there. 98% of people that don't have any of those fucking things. You know what I mean? It just makes
Oh,
you like frustrated.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can see
tilted
that
just
for
thinking.
it.
I'm
I can
tilted
see
just
that.
thinking about it. So for that reason, taking your bike on the regional train kind of sucks. On the metro, not as bad on the metro, but you can't take it between the rush hours, and you have to
Yeah,
buy the extra
there's a
ticket.
time window that you can't take the bike there at all, right?
So
Like between 7 and 10 or something like that, 7 and 9,
yeah,
and then 3 and 5 or
it
something
makes
like that.
sense. It would be too crowded.
But yeah, the metro is already quite can
Yeah,
be quite
it's
crowded
quite
during those
crowded, and
times,
if you have
right?
a bike and you're in the way, like I mean, I guess other people, people are in your way if you have a bike. Your bike's in everybody else's way if you have a bike. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just it's a recipe. That's why I like the Estos so much, is because they have a separate car that's for nothing but bikes. It's not for like luggage and bikes and
Well, you
childcare.
can have people there as well for it,
Yes, yeah,
and
people
those people,
can stay
yeah,
there, but I mean, the entire thing is made for bikes, so there's no question about it, and people seem to understand how to use it.
yeah. I could imagine someone there, and you're trying to push them around with your bike, and they're like, "If you have a bike, why don't you just fucking ride it instead of taking the train?"
I guess. I mean, it depends. I mean, they don't know how far you're going, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna go 10, 15K, I mean, it might be nice to have a bike when you get there, but you might not want to ride 15K. I mean, I know people do. I'm not saying
I'm
it's
just I'm
impossible.
just busting your balls
Yeah,
for
I
it.
know you are. I'm fucking American. Give me a car and a driver.
Well, you can buy a car.
Yeah, it's too
It's just pay
expensive.
180%
And I would
taxes.
never use
I
it.
think it's cheaper now, right?
I don't care.
I think they lowered the. The good thing about the right wing government, I guess, it's they lower
The taxes.
the taxes for the cars.
I don't know if it's a good thing. I'd rather there be less cars here. I already think there's too many. Oh, look at this. This is a related article. Every 12th S train passenger travels with a bicycle.
How dare they?
No, but the S train is made for that. I mean, yeah. See, they have the free bike fare on the S train.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
but that's from a few
it's
years
from
ago,
2015, but still, I
so it's
think.
probably the same.
But
Yeah.
I still think the bikes are free on S train.
Hmm.
So, anyways, those will be driverless. That's pretty cool.
I guess so.
Doesn't really
More people
bother
out
me
of a
much.
job.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if somebody wants to commit suicide, there's one less driver that has to experience that.
Oh, that's a good
I mean, that takes a human
that's a
toll.
good thing, I guess.
I know that happens to train drivers
So
relatively frequently.
so if a train driver loses his job and his life is in shambles and he actually wants to commit suicide in front of a train, he probably can't anymore, huh? Because now the train will just stop.
That's not true. I mean, if somebody times it correctly, the train is not physically capable of stopping, even if they apply the brakes at the right time. That's usually what happens with human drivers too. Somebody waits and then jumps out right at the last
So,
minute.
so you need to have a fucking PhD to kill yourself on a train as well.
No, I don't think so. You just jump out at the right time. I mean, what I'm getting
It
at.
was a joke for it.
Okay, but it wasn't a very funny one, Dolph. This is a serious business. Somebody's life is at stake here, you know? They don't want to just jump out there and only get mangled. They want to either complete the job fully or maybe not do it at all. It's two extremes. You don't want to be like doing half measures.
No, probably not. Do you think it's like Didn't we talk about it a short time ago about the people who jump off bridges, like the
And they
ones who
regret it
actually
right away.
survive, they regret it right
Yeah.
away?
Yeah, it's probably like that.
So in that sense, maybe it would be better to be mangled. Like at least you're alive. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about being mangled. I've seen some of the. Have you ever seen any of those videos or that footage of people who are like either railroad workers and they get sandwiched in between two cars
No, I try to avoid.
and like cut
I
in
try
half
to
or whatever?
avoid that corner of the
There's
internet
well,
for it.
I mean, there's some footage of some like really, I don't know, old school train engineer and whatever, he gets pinched in between two cars and basically it's completely like pinched his body together and he's still alive, but as soon as the cars come apart he's gonna like instantly die, you know?
Yeah.
And they put up like a sheet so that people can't see, and I think they had his family come out there and like talk to him before he inevitably died
wow.
from that. Yeah, but I mean it's just one of those things where you never really realize, I guess, how much destructive force and power and energy and mass is like involved in the train until you see something like that. And then it's like a stark reminder that, yeah, holy shit, this thing would just completely devastate you and cut you in half.
Yeah.
There's also some where people have been like kind of fallen down in the tracks and then they get stuck in between the edge of the train and the side of the platform, like here, and they just get like cut in two. And then their torso is like hanging on the platform. It's pretty fucked up.
Interesting.
Keeping it positive, Dolph. Always keeping it positive. But what I'm getting at is it's a real problem for like train drivers when somebody jumps out in front of the train and they're like, of course, they're going to try to stop as soon as they can, but maybe it's not enough, and maybe that person's dies. Like that's still even though it's not really your fault, there was not much more you could do about it. That's still going to fuck up your psyche. Like a normal human being is going
Oh,
to be
for
a little
sure.
bit fucked
For
up. Like,
sure. You
okay,
don't want
I
to see
just killed
those
a
kind of
guy.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, and just I don't know. I probably have some sort of form of like PTSD after that. So
I could imagine.
maybe an unintended consequence of these automated drivers is that maybe less people will be affected by that.
Well done, technology.
And yeah, maybe
Saving.
they'll be better at stopping sooner. I mean, maybe they'll detect something in the track sooner. But who knows? What do you think?
I think if you want to kill yourself, don't throw yourself in front of a train.
No?
No.
How would you do it?
I would call suicide hotline.
Okay. And what if they failed you? Like what if you were really set on it? Like I'm not making a light. I'm not trying to make like a joke out of it or anything. I think it's a serious deal. But have you ever thought about it?
No, I haven't, and that's probably part of why I am actually talking somewhat lightly on this, because yeah, of course it's easy to say, well, yeah, if I have a problem, then I'll just call someone or something that can help me. So in this case, if I had a problem, or if I had thoughts about killing myself, I just call the suicide hotline. I'm sure it's not that linear.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Thankfully, I've never been. I mean, I've had suicidal thoughts, like probably a lot of people have, but not. It was never extreme to the point that I actually was close to doing it. It's just, I don't know, sometimes you feel shittier and you just kind of contemplate it, but I was never even close to seriously consider it.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it either, but I guess if I did, it would probably be something quick and painless. I don't know what that would be, but like let's say I was on my deathbed or something. I mean, just give me some. Like that's the only way I can really think of it, is like, okay, my life is no longer worth living type of thing, in terms of like maybe I'm like, if I'm a vegetable or something, like I don't have any brain activity or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can't make that choice anymore.
Well, if you're able to communicate with someone.
Yeah, like in one of those situations where like maybe you've lost all control of all limbs and have like 25% brain function left, and you're like, what's the point? I guess at that point maybe you would like, for me, I would consider maybe something like, yeah, like some lethal injection type, or some drug that takes you out kind of peacefully and quickly and calmly. But that's the only way I can think of it. And I know what you mean. Like you have these intrusive thoughts. Like, have you ever had those intrusive thoughts? Like if you're standing on a train platform and you're like, oh, what would happen if I just jumped over?
Oh, for sure.
Or like you're standing near the edge of some really tall building, or something, and you're like, oh, what would happen if I just fell over? It's like an intrusive thought, and your body does it to make you realize, like, okay, it's possible, so I should be careful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like some people have these a lot, and I don't really have them very often, but every now and then you just have this weird thought, like, why the hell am I thinking that? And you're like, it's your body and your brain trying to like make you aware of the danger.
Doug Stanhope, for those who don't know, is a comedian, and he actually participated in his mother's suicide, because I can't remember exactly the details, but she basically decided that she wanted to kill herself. She probably had some really fucked up disease or something like that, and life wasn't worth living anymore. And he basically assisted her in doing this. She just took a shitload of morphine, I think. So he basically has a 10-minute stand-up segment where he tells this story. And I encourage everybody to check it out, because I'm not going to talk about details of the story, because there's no way that I can do it in such a
Compelling.
not just compelling, but like heartwarming as well. Because I mean,
This is a dark
it
subject.
it is a dark subject, and it's his own mother. And he made a stand-up bit, a 10-minute stand-up bit about it,
Yeah.
and it's really good. I encourage everybody to just Google it. I don't think it's on YouTube, but you can find it on some other like Vimeo or something like that, I think.
Yeah. Oh
And
boy, that's got to be heavy, man.
it is,
It's
but
like
it's
you're
all it's
conflicted deep down. You probably like if she's in a really bad spot, you totally understand like that's what she wants, but at the same time, that's your mom. You don't want to see her die. Oh man, that's
yeah.
like some heavy shit.
um yeah, just check it out.
I'll check that out. I haven't seen that.
It's funny, and it's not really, I mean, it's not funny like laugh out loud funny, because it's still suicide, but it's very good.
Hmm.
Check it out.
Well, maybe take it on something a little lighter note. Maybe Copenhagen is still the best bicycle city in the world. Is that any surprise to you, Dolph?
Not to me. I mean, it's either it's always a toss between this and Amsterdam, right?
2 years after snatching the world's most bicycle-friendly city title from Amsterdam, Copenhagen has managed to maintain its iron grip on the title.
I mean, I've been to Amsterdam, and I do like the bicycling, like the infrastructure at least more here. Amsterdam seems to be a bit more chaotic.
It's a little more Wild West.
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
People, people don't give a fuck there. Like if you are walking through the bike lane here, people will ring their bell and kind of be annoyed that you're in the way. But ultimately, I think they will generally stop and yield to like a pedestrian, right? Even if the pedestrian is in the wrong. Whereas in Amsterdam, there were some times I was walking across the bike lane and like I was looking to, because I'm used to being in a bike city, so I know I should look out and all that. But I mean, people don't give a fuck.
No. And I think there's a lot less bike lanes. So there's a lot of, let's say, roads that are just roads for both cars and bicycles, but there's not like a clear distinction between this part of the road is for bikes and this part is for cars. So it becomes a bit more Wild Westy, because you
got to fight for your piece of the lane or whatever.
Exactly. And
yeah, I mean, if you're on a bike and you don't have a separate bike lane, you have to be a little more defensive so that cars see
or aggressive
you.
at taking up your spot.
But that's what I mean by defensive. It's like, I guess, defensive driving is more like aggressive driving. But yeah. So let's see. Number 1 was Copenhagen. Number 2 was Utrecht in the Netherlands. I don't know how to pronounce that really. Followed by Amsterdam at number 3. Copenhagen has invested over 134 million euros over the past 10 years into bicycle infrastructure and facilities. There's a whopping 16 new bridges for bicycles and pedestrians.
They're awesome.
Built or under construction. 8 of those have opened since 2015. 4 more are financed or under construction. Seriously, these are bridges for bicycles. Copenhagen is slapping them up like they're flower pots, filling in all the missing mobility links for bicycle transport.
The red bridge next to Fisketol.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's such an improvement over before. You needed to basically just stop and then go down the stairs with your bike and then get on the bike again. It's so nice. Like it's so easy to go from Westerpoort to Islandsbrugge. It's so quick. It's awesome. I love it. I haven't really. I think I've only bicycled once on that on that bridge that took forever to finish.
Yeah.
I think I've only been there once, and that one is a bit trickier because there's a curve there in the middle of the bridge, and so you can't really, like, you need to be careful and slow. And I think
there's also some
you
complaints.
can also walk, like there's pedestrian.
Yeah.
And that one is a bit trickier. I think that one was a bit of a mistake.
I think there's also some complaints on a few of these. They paint them, like they paint the bike lane blue or whatever color. And I know on some of these, they paint them, and the paint is not very good when it gets wet or icy. Like, it's really slick. You know what I mean?
So it makes it more dangerous.
I know there were some people complaining about the paint on that new bridge that went up. And because there's been a few other bridges they put up that had the exact same problem. And they're like, okay, we get it. You screwed up on one of these. Why did you put the same paint on the new one? And painting the whole lane, I mean, it's kind of silly. Just have some markers. And paint is just always going to make it more slick. So it's not like completely perfect, I guess, but yeah, the biking infrastructure here is pretty great.
Yeah, but that those small details, that's something you supposedly can fix.
Yeah,
like
just strip the paint off,
or just develop some
better paint.
I guess. I mean, I've never noticed any issues like
Right,
that.
but I mean,
But then again, I'm not.
this is specifically when the weather is really nasty too, and
Yeah,
a
and I
lot of
usually
people
don't
don't bike too
bicycle.
much in it.
Yeah, when I don't bicycle that much in
But
general.
but so you could take that bridge, you could take the bike from Vesterbro over to Islandsburg and then
Hmm.
come down to my place.
Yeah, I've done that once, I think.
Yeah, what is it, about 7K? Probably about
I don't know.
7K.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but it took a bit longer than I
Yeah.
actually
It's about
liked.
I think it's about a 25 or 30-minute ride if
I
I'm
think it's more like 30 or 35. Yeah.
if I'm like when I'm really trying to get to work, like not just going completely all out, but I'm like giving it some effort. It takes me like 23 minutes to bike from my door to the office, and that's
I
7K.
think my apartment might be a little bit further
Okay.
than going to the
But yeah,
center.
I mean, if you're taking a little more relaxed, 35 minutes easy.
And it's nice to bicycle through Amafell, for example.
Yeah, it's
But
also a nice ride. Yeah.
it's further. I remember the first and only time that I've done it, I was thinking, "Fuck, this is actually further than I thought."
Yeah.
And it's not the most comfortable seat on
Well,
that
you could
bicycle.
you could rent one of those electric bikes too, and
I
just
could,
take that.
and I actually, I don't think I've tried riding them yet,
Really?
but they're, from what I see, everybody saying they're
Yeah.
really, really nice.
The rental bikes, the city bike is really nice. The only thing that's sort of a downside about it, I mean, of course, this is partially because it has to be sturdy and it is electric, so it has to carry these big batteries. But the bike itself is really heavy. So if it dies, there's no way you're pedaling that
yeah.
bike anywhere. And of course, I never had one die on me, but not only does the heaviness play a factor there, but the bike is very clumsy at low speed. So like when you're coming to a stop at a crosswalk or you're
Mhm.
getting started again, because of the way the electric only kicks in once the pedal starts moving, if you don't get the pedal, like you can't back pedal on those pedals because it activates the brake instead. So
Mhm.
it's not like a freewheel design.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the pedals in like the right position when you're stopped, then you kind of have to lift the back of the bike up and pull the pedal backwards, or you know what? Like sometimes starting on that heavy ass bike can
Yeah,
be
but
clumsy.
that's just getting used to it.
Sure, it's not
I
a
had a
big
bike
deal.
like that. I think that it's normal to have bikes like that where you brake on the pedals here.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
And it's, I mean, I know what you're talking about, because when I first moved here, that was a big issue for me.
Yeah.
Every time I stopped, I kind of needed to
Make sure the pedals in
realign
a,
the pedals.
yeah.
But you easily get used to it.
Yeah, sure, of course. But I'm just saying it's also, I think, even more so because the bike is way heavier
Heavy,
with all the
yeah.
electric stuff. But again, I mean, it's a luxury whenever you're actually up to speed and you're just passing people left and right with like no effort.
Hmm.
Yeah, those electric bikes are awesome.
So I have a question about this list, or this most bicycle friendly cities. What's the is there a list? What's the top city that's not in the Netherlands or in Denmark?
Let's look. So we have,
Copenhagen.
okay, so from number 1, it's Copenhagen, then Netherlands, Utrecht or whatever. Amsterdam is number 3. Strasbourg, France,
Strasbourg,
number
okay.
4. Malmö, Sweden, number 5. Wow.
Okay.
Bordeaux, France, number
Bordeaux.
6. Antwerp, Belgium, number 7. Slovenia,
Wow.
number 8. Tokyo, Japan, number 9. So I guess that's your answer. Is
Yeah,
the first
and
one that's not in
Berlin.
Europe is Japan.
Oh, I didn't mean Europe. I just mean outside of Denmark or
Oh,
the
okay.
Netherlands. But
Yep.
it's France, I guess. France is like 2 or 3 cities in the top 10.
Yeah, France, Belgium, Slovenia, Japan, Germany, all pretty good. Austria is in here. Spain a few times, I think. Germany has plenty here. Helsinki, Finland, Norway, and Montreal. Montreal,
Nice.
Quebec. There you go.
Cool. Copenhagen, nice.
Yeah.
I think it's.
I think it's
I
great.
mean, I think it's great, and I actually believe that it's kind of the future of a lot of these cities.
Yeah.
Might not be in the near future, but I think bicycling will make a comeback, especially now with these electrical bikes, and you're gonna have like as time goes on, you're gonna have more electrical like stations and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So there's probably gonna be something similar for bikes. So yeah, because for example in Portugal, I understand that in Lisbon it's a bit trickier to make people ride bikes.
Because of all the hills or what?
Yeah, Lisbon is built on top of 7 hills, so the city is very hilly. So you're always very often you're just going up or down, and it takes a toll on you if you're going up on.
Yeah, it's
all
it's
the time.
even if it's just downhill stuff. I mean, it's just not very. It makes you feel a little uneasy if you're on really big downhills and stuff on a bike because you know, depending on your brakes and your agility, I mean, you might not be able to stop or avoid hitting somebody or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of hills doesn't really.
it's not very bike friendly in that
No,
sense,
it's
and
definitely
that's
not.
certainly a reason why the Netherlands and Denmark are the two countries that are more they're so bike friendly because they're
Is
pretty
that the
fucking
but
flat.
is that the only reason? Because Houston
No,
is
I think
flat as fuck, and I mean
yeah, but
Houston
Houston
is.
is in America where
Yeah, well, I
people
know. I'm just saying. I mean, flatness isn't the only recipe for having successful
no
bike
no no no
city.
no no no. It's of course it's a cultural thing as well,
Yeah.
but I mean there's only so much like the cultural. I suppose that the cultural kind of arises because it's easy to use that device, in this case a bicycle, in
Yeah.
wherever you live.
I think it's great. I mean, we didn't really bike at all. I mean, of course, I had biked when I was a kid, but I never really biked when I was an adult, when I was still in the US. And
And
then when I
all,
moved here, I started biking quite a bit in the first few years. The only thing I don't like about it is just because how shitty the weather gets. It's like it feels like for more than half of the year, it's kind of shitty outside to bike. And so, I mean, yes, you can wear all the rain gear and get suited up with a fucking balaclava and all this shit, but I mean, I just can't be bothered to like dress up like I'm gonna go to fucking war just to get on my bike. So, and also,
and
I
this,
mean,
the
I have the
transportation is
metro.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, I have
it's
the
good.
metro right here too. So I pretty much only bike in the summer. I haven't even brought the bike out of the storage this year.
Me neither.
I'm so lazy.
Also, on the still on the Houston thing, it's I think it's easier to bicycle in cities that are not so spread out as
Yeah,
American
yeah,
cities
of
are.
course.
Because if you have to bicycle 20 or 30 kilometers
Yeah,
just to go to work
no way.
every day, it might be a bit of a stretch,
No.
especially when you can just drive and eat some
Get,
Cheetos on the way.
yeah, maybe a cheeseburger.
Yeah, stop on a Mac drive.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the bike talk. So yeah, when are you gonna get a new seat on that bike? I
I don't
mean,
know.
the
Like I
the
said,
Ass
I
Destroyer
haven't
9000.
I haven't even taken the bike out of the shed
For those
this
that
year.
don't know,
Yeah, you should tell the story
when I
about.
first got here, we didn't have anything, right? We got an apartment. We had no furniture, no appliances, no anything, right? So we needed a vacuum cleaner, and we wanted to get a Miele, which is the German one. And I think we had the Miele canister vacuum in the U.S., which was actually very uncommon in the U.S. Most people use those dumbass upright vacuums, which is what we had done up to that point. And I saw a Reddit post that was like, "I'm a vacuum repair technician. Ask me." And it was like an AMA by a vacuum repair tech. And of course, everybody was asking him about like what the best vacuum was. And he was talking about how like the canister vacuums were actually much better for all of these other number of reasons, and that if he could buy, you know, the best vacuum he would recommend is like a certain Miele canister vacuum, right? And then if you had to have an upright, I forget what his recommendation was. And I was like, huh, like I've never tried a canister vacuum, but like now after reading this fucking deeply intriguing AMA about all the different bullshit about the Dyson is actually a really shitty vacuum, and we had one, and I can attest to that. It's like an overpriced piece of shit. And so anyways, I was like, you know what, Rain, we should get we should get a fucking canister vacuum. So we went and we got a Miele because we had two cats, we got fur and all that. I mean, you need a good vacuum if you have animals. And we had carpets and all that. So we got this vacuum. We were super fucking stoked about it. Fast forward a few years, we move here. We're without any appliances. We need to buy a vacuum. Okay, well, we're closer to Germany, so the Miele is going to be cheaper. So we went to like El Gigante, and you know, the vacuum that we bought was like kind of expensive. It was like 4,000 Danish crowns or 3,000 Danish crowns. You know, it's like 500-600 bucks. But then again, you don't want to buy a shitty one. So we went to just buy it, and the guy's like, "Yeah, do you know if you buy this vacuum, you get a free bicycle?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Yeah, that's the deal." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Well, I need the vacuum anyway, and I need a bike because I don't have one." So, anyways, we checked out, we bought the thing. He gave us a ticket to go get the bike. So I went back a few days later, and I got this, yeah, Loop mountain bike or whatever. It's a pretty shitty mountain bike. It's like on the cheaper end, steel frame, probably not the greatest components and chain set and all that stuff on it. But anyways, it's a free bike. So I brought it home. I tried to put it together. We managed to get it together. I think we reversed some pieces that shouldn't have, but the bike still worked fine. But man, the seat on that bike is probably the most uncomfortable seat I've ever sat on. I mean, it's almost as if they designed it to intentionally like penetrate and damage your ass cheeks as much as possible. And then yeah, I gave it to you, right? After I finally got a better bike with a better seat, I was like, "Hey, Rodolphe." No, I said it to everybody at work, right? I was like, "Hey, if you guys want, I got a free bike. Whoever wants it and picks it up can take it." And then
Actually, I
and
think it
then
actually
for
took a while. I said like, oh
yeah,
yeah, I'll take
yeah,
it.
for a
But
while, there was a few people like, "Oh, yeah, I'll come get it from you." And then, like, 2 months had passed and, like, nobody came and got it, and I
yeah,
was like, "Alright, guys." And then I told our other friend that we work with, the serial stomper, and, I'll just leave it at that. He knows who he is. But I told this guy, I was like, "All right, well, I got this free bike. Nobody wants to come get it." And this is the type of guy that would probably take it and go sell it on DBA. You know what I mean? Like he would just take the bike for free and then make a profit on it. But so once he found out about it, the pressure was on. So you were like,
yeah. Then I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
okay, I need to rush.
yeah. I told him I was like, "Hey, man, I already promised Rodolfo the bike. So if he doesn't come and get it, it's yours." And then he came to you and he's like, "Oh, so what's up on that bike? Are you gonna get it? Because I'm gonna get it this weekend, you know." And you're like,
So
probably feel,
I'll go tomorrow.
yeah, you're feeling like, "All right, I better go get this bike."
And yeah, because I had my bike disappeared. I think I told the story here
Like
already.
years ago.
Yeah, and I haven't needed it because I've always lived so close to the center that I've just walked everywhere. And if I needed to go somewhere a bit further out, I just take the public transportation. So I've been bikeless for a few years, and I've been okay with it. I like walking. I walk a lot anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
just get a new seat on
but
that
it's
thing.
nice. But it's nice to have a bike. So yeah, I got that bike. But you're right. I mean, that seat in the beginning, I didn't.
Not just
I
in
was
the
like,
beginning. I mean, that seat, yeah, you can get used to a level of punishment that your ass is willing to endure,
I
I
don't think
guess.
it's as bad as you
Honestly,
paint it, but it's
honestly,
definitely not
no,
nice.
no,
It's not
that
a
seat,
comfortable seat
that
at
seat
all.
is really fucking bad.
And I think in if you're in asphalt and stuff like that, it's bearable. But for
Imagine
example,
being
I
off
used
road.
no, yeah. Well, the thing is, I used to sometimes I used to use it to go to Christiania in the summer.
Yeah.
And so if you go through Islandsbrugge,
Oh yeah, the cobblestone.
at some point you just
Oh
get into cobblestone, after
yeah,
the bridge,
you need to stand up on the bike
after
at that
Langebo.
point,
Yeah, you just get into the cobblestone of Zone, and oh boy, that really really takes a toll on your ass.
like a jackhammer right in
It's
there.
it's terrible. So I've stopped bicycling to Christiania
Seriously,
basically.
man, just buy that seat. I got that mountain bike seat for my other bike. That's the most comfortable seat I've ever had. It doesn't look
I know,
fancy, so it won't get stolen. And on top of that, it wasn't very expensive.
but that's not the reason why I'm not biking in the first place.
Hmm.
It's just I walk everywhere pretty much.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm lazy too.
But
I'm guilty of it.
if I was using the bike a lot, I would certainly have already bought a new seat. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, there you go.
and I mean it's also not it's not the greatest bike ever. If they give it away with
They give it
with
away
the
for free
vacuum
with a
cleaner,
vacuum. You
I
can
mean, you can
imagine.
imagine that. Actually, I saw a similar, like the same bike the other day on the street. So I guess somebody else bought a vacuum cleaner as well.
Well, I've seen a lot of those particular bikes. I think they gave them away for some deals as well. They probably sold them pretty cheap as well. It's kind of like a entry level shitty mountain bike. Oh, whatever. It gets you
Yeah,
from point A to point B.
yeah, with a bit more or less ass soreness.
I
But
was thinking maybe
you'll
that's where
get
that bruise came from. But
no,
no, I
no,
guess not.
no. I haven't been bicycling.
Hmm. Well, what time are we at? How long have we been
We're on
going?
138.
1:38. So we should probably start wrapping it up here pretty
Yeah, this
soon.
is the last article, right?
Yeah, we have one more article. Seems
So
I guess
I think it's a pretty interesting article.
sort of
actually.
interesting for expats. Mentor program proving useful in finding jobs for spouses of international workers. So there's some private and public sector cooperation, getting some results in Lyngby and Toabek municipality. It's no secret that one of the major challenges facing Denmark is the attraction and retention of highly skilled workers from abroad. One of the areas paramount to retaining workers from abroad is finding a job for the workers' spouses. This is really important. I mean,
Yeah.
my girlfriend came with me, and I guess we kind of naively thought that she would be able to get a job very easily, and it turned out that wasn't the case. It's fast forward 3 years later, she still never really found anything that she wanted to do that was a real decent job. So she just started her own company. Um, but I think it's a lot harder if you don't work in like IT. It's pretty hard to find
Yeah,
a job
it's
here
difficult, and
because so
a
many
lot.
people are qualified here, like master's degree and everything, and they're working at like a cleaning company.
I think a lot of the problem is also that a lot of the jobs that you usually assume that they take not much of a entry level, like, so if you, even if you come with a degree or without a degree, but even if you come with a degree that is for some reason not recognized here, that you
Yeah,
can get, so like being a waitress or a waiter or stuff like that, but then you need to speak Danish most of the time, which makes it quite difficult to, at least within the first few years of getting of being able to land a job like that. I have a friend from Portugal who also came here quite a few years ago, and he brought his girlfriend. They're married now, so his wife now. And yeah, she has a degree. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's some kind of engineering degree, but she was also unable. She has also been unable to find a job in it, and she spent quite a few years just actively looking.
yeah,
It's a difficult thing. I can see that, unless you work in IT or in some kind of thing that doesn't require you to speak Danish,
yeah. Because Danish is really important.
and
Uh,
it takes a while for you to actually feel comfortable with the language.
yeah, of course. So specifically, the program is a 4-month setting that pairs spouses with voluntary mentors to help with job searching on a one-on-one basis. So far, the results have been commendable. According to the evaluation from 2016, 57% of those taking part in the program were employed within 6 months of completing the program. Others had found internships or started their own companies, while just 21% were still
That is a
unemployed.
great rate, 57%.
Yeah, that's pretty damn
That's
good.
very good.
Yeah. It says here, yeah, some would probably have found a job anyway, but having a person put their knowledge and network at your disposal really increases your chances and boosts your self confidence, as well as steering you away from classic beginner mistakes. It can be difficult compiling an application and CV so it matches the expectations of a Danish company and to comprehend the unwritten rules of job interviews in Denmark. What are the unwritten rules
That's a
of
good question. I don't know.
I don't know what the unwritten rules of job interviews are here. Maybe I need to learn that.
Well, actually, I'm curious. Yeah, what unwritten rules of job interview? If anyone knows,
Yeah,
write us or something like
I'd
that,
like
because
to
I'm actually
know.
curious about what these unwritten rules are.
Yeah.
I I didn't have much of a problem finding a job in the beginning. I
No.
mean, I can't remember. I went to maybe 3 interviews before I landed the job, and from then on, I just, well, I had a job, so I changed it once or twice, and yeah, I mean, even
Once you have a job, it's easier to look for a
it
job.
is,
Yeah.
it is. I also less stressed, and
Yeah.
even if you fuck up in the interview for some reason, you don't care as much because, well, I
Still
still
have a
have a
job.
job.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then you, at least in my case, like the job that I currently have, I didn't even really need to go through an interview because I knew someone that was in the company, and
It's all
then
about the network.
yeah, it was basically through networking.
Yeah, I would say that's an unwritten rule here is that I mean, if you're not from here, you need to know some people. I mean, well,
I'm not sure you
do
need
you
to,
have
but
to?
it helps.
No. But I mean, if you want to get a job quickly, yeah, probably. Like knowing somebody is probably the best way.
But that's probably the same everywhere, right? It's not just here.
I guess so, but I mean, I think it's particularly important here with how hard it is to get a job. So, well, that was a pretty good
That was it for today,
little
for
series of
Sunday.
articles. Anyway,
Just
it's kind of a slow news week, but it's like
it's
that
been
every
slow
week.
this week every week or what?
So, if you know the unwritten rules of the Danish job interview, you should email us at unfilteredcph@gmail.com. And if you have any other comments or questions or ideas for the show, any articles you saw that you thought were funny, we'd like to see them.
Yeah, write us. We also
And
have a Facebook page.
yeah,
You can write us
Unfiltered
there as well.
Copenhagen on
Unfiltered
Facebook.
Copenhagen on Facebook.
SoundCloud. Of course, you're probably listening on SoundCloud. I think the majority of people that listen to the podcast listen on SoundCloud.
Well, we don't know how many
But we
people listen
don't.
on iTunes.
Yeah, because they don't have the metrics. Pretty soon, iOS 11 and the new podcast stuff is going to give analytics and also some new features for listeners, like the podcast app is going to be better. So we're kind of looking forward to that. So we can have a better idea of how many people listen on iTunes and what else. Oh yeah, if you listen on Stitcher, You should, if you want to do us a favor, yeah, I feel like I'm begging
You
here.
should.
If you want to do us a favor, you should probably leave a review on our podcast, like a little written review. It helps us out a lot. Once we get 5 written reviews, we'll be golden.
And our life will never be the same.
Yeah, we'll have hit it officially big time.
Big time.
So
5 reviews on Stitcher.
damn
Come on,
right.
don't we have 5 family members aggregate, just me and you for it, that could write a review?
But that's cheating. You know, you got to get a legit review, man. You can't just cheat your way to it.
If you want to reach the top, you might need to bend the rules
Look,
here and there.
what
a
about
little
this?
bit. Look at Trump.
What about this? If somebody gives us, like, writes a review on Stitcher for us, you're gonna watch The Notebook with me, right?
Oh boy. Well, if that's what it takes.
All right.
You just want to see me cry for
I'll
it.
commit to
You
that.
just want
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
me
I want to.
cry.
I want to see you cry at the end of The Notebook. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll probably be right there crying again with you at the end. It's rough, dude. It's rough. All right.
Yeah,
Well, that's gonna be doing it for today. Sorry we missed yesterday.
It's
'cause
just
of-
one day later. It's
'cause
just
of
to build up
Rodolphe's
anticipation. It's my
shenanigans.
fault. I apologize. But hey, we're here. We're live. And we'll be here next week again. Same time, same place. Maybe not same time.
New
but,
microphone.
New microphone.
Mm.
Better audio quality. See you then.
See you guys then.